one of the things I would like to know, to get to know each one of you, so I can tailor the conversation more, please drop the name and type of company you have in the chat box. If you could just drop the name and type of company you have in the chat box. So you heard a lot about my background. You've heard a lot about the accomplishments and the different types of work that I've done. Let's talk a little bit about who I am and why I have the ability to help women-owned businesses. I qualify, I'm a woman. Last I checked, I am a woman. I started my company back in 2017. I decided to start my company after being in a position to give contract awards to other small businesses. So companies would come to me and say, please write us a contract. And it's not that easy in the federal government to get work. It is a process. So I began to aspire to help other small businesses. And that brought me full circle. One of the companies that I was able to help, I was out in Miami, Florida. They are a service disabled veteran-owned small business. And HubZone, I don't know if any of that means anything to all of you, but I'll talk about that a little bit more. But I was able to help their company with a recognized brand, which is what we're going to talk about today, because this was an established company, and expand their work to over 4 continents. So for me, the reason I'm asking you to drop the type of company that you have below, because every company is unique. When you look at my background, it is so unique and it's very diversified. I'm like a unicorn. That's how I introduce myself. People are like, how did you do it? How can you do it? How are you able to juggle all the balls that you do? I am very unique and I am a unicorn. So I see Scouter Recruitment Company, training and consulting, and food and beverages. So when you begin to think about the type of business that you have, I understand that you've all worked on your elevator pitch, who I am, what my company does, basically the name of my company, the problem that my company can solve, what value does my company add with the problem that I'm solving for you, and how you can really reach me, and again, who I am. So when you begin to look at your different diversification of industries, there's one thing that I realized immediately when I looked at Angie. I'm gonna pick on you a little bit. I looked at her LinkedIn and I'm like, wow, you've put some thought and process in the ideal first impression of who you are. It takes a lot of time to do that. So the first thing I want to say to each one of you is that a brand presence is very important. It takes time, and sometimes it takes resources because you have to invest in it. But depending on your industry, branding is going to be equally important no matter what industry you're in, whether you're selling goods or whether you are providing a service. People want to work with known brands. And what makes it tough is that if you're a brand new business, guess what? You do not have a known brand. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that today, taking your current business, making sure that you understand. I have a few notes here that I will be referencing, that you understand more about having a brand presence. And let's see where you are with that. And we're going to circle back to some of the elevator pitches. And then I can hopefully talk to you individually about some of the challenges you may be having with your brand. Companies come to me as a strategist. They're either brand new and they only have a thought of an idea of a company that they want to get started. So I help them focus, strategize, and get the business off the ground. Or I'm working with existing companies that may be making a small revenue, It may be people, I believe a lot of you still working your 9 to 5. That's what we do until we can make the profit and see the revenue that can replace our current salaries. But guess what? That can be really tiresome. So I take a look at the existing companies and look at areas of improving the brand and expanding. What channels have we not viewed that are open for us to sell, for us to come and provide the services or goods that your business currently provides? Now, I really liked Esther when she came forward and she gave her elevator pitch. And one of the things she said is, you need to have confidence. So when you begin to look at your brand, you are the illustrator of your brand. What do I mean by that? You are the first voice of your brand. Your brand becomes the most valuable thing of your company. And how you communicate that to others is going to be the expression and feelings that they receive about your brand in totality. So, for example, Esther said she pitches with confidence. Confidence is great. Going to a number of networking events, one thing I've learned in pitching your brand and providing your elevator pitch is, in your confidence, you also need to take the time to receive. And when I say receive, you want to look and listen at the reaction of the person that you're speaking to. Why? Because that will allow you to pivot the conversation in a direction to better explain what services or goods or products you are selling. Why is that important? Every brand has core values. And if you're not confident about your own core values, you're not going to be able to sell or convince a buyer that they want to be part of what you're selling or the services that you're providing. So Esther had it right on point. Be confident. And in your confidence, allow an exchange. And as I'm saying exchange, I don't want to do all the talking. Feel free to jump in. Feel free to ask questions as we go along. This can be a collaborative conversation. I don't want to do all the talking, then you have to wait. Feel free to stop me. I'm okay with that as well. So when you establish your unique brand, a lot of people only look at a brand as a logo. Well, it's more than a logo. When you're developing a brand, and I'm going to use Angie again, you're looking at colors, you're looking at font, and you want to look at consistency. There's a term used in this area called SICK. Simple, iconic, meaning that it's easy to recognize, and consistent. Everything that you do as it relates to your brand needs to be SICK. Simple, iconic, meaning that it's easily recognized, and consistent. So let's talk about some examples of that. Apple. If you see an apple, you automatically relate that to the Apple Store just from the logo. You can see the Nike swoosh. You automatically know it's iconic. You recognize it immediately just from the logo. So when you have established your logo, consistency in appearance, colors, font, everything that you do after that needs to look the same. You're painting a picture, I like to say. And in addition to painting the picture, you're really starting to also look at creating an identity system. The identity system includes what you place your logo on. So I don't know how long everyone has had their company, but a lot of times I'm not always dealing with startups. I'm dealing with existing businesses. So I'm going to say that you probably have business cards. You may even have a logo. You may even have your mission and purpose, and I'm hoping that you have all of those things. But what I'm encouraging you today is it's okay to take a look at what you have and the industry that you're selling to. So depending on your market, you also want to look at your competitors. Who are the competitors in your industry? Because you're putting all of these pieces together so lovely, like you're painting a picture. You have your pitch. Your pitch needs to tie into your brand presence. The brand presence is a collective. It's a collective of your logo, your identity system, where you put your logo, for example, on your business cards, on documents, on folders you may send out information in, on your website, on your app. You may have an app depending on the industry that you're in. That identity system then creates what is called a total brand presence. But how do people receive your brand presence? When they see your logo, Angie, for example, I know immediately you're a recruiter. And I know now from your pitch, the services that you have provided. And when you're giving your pitch and individuals go to your LinkedIn page, or if they go to your website, the next thing you want to know is how do they feel once they arrive? And when you get into the feelings and emotions of it all, it's really, do I want to work for you? Do I want to do business with you? Do you seem reputable? A lot of new businesses, unfortunately, don't seem reputable. Then you may have businesses that are competitors, and your competitor may seem to be doing more in the business than you are, and you can't seem to understand why. Oftentimes, the why is their brand gives off a feeling of confidence, a feeling of security, and more people want to work with them than with you. And it really goes back to how you feel. People want to work with you based on how they feel. People buy products based on how the products attract them, how they make them feel. If you are in the food industry, how does the food taste? That is a feeling. So it all comes back full circle. So when you begin to think about the reality of who you are, you start to connect the dots. You cannot separate yourself as an individual from your place of business. You as an individual should brand yourself. It should connect to the branding of your company and any and all other entities that you may have, like social media pages, outlets and channels like business cards, any handouts, any one pagers, and they call those slick sheets, and we could talk about that. That you have has to maintain a brand consistency. So as I look here, I see, thank you, Ifoma, for dropping the notes in here. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit more to see about some of the companies. Reputable digital marketing firm. That is great. So in digital marketing, hopefully you found a way to also create your distinctive differentiators. So I don't want to give you all too much at one time, but if you've created a brand, your brand looks like you, walks like you, it is consistent, it's simple, iconic, and consistent, then I want you to figure out, after you do your market research and you look at your competitors, how your competitors, if they're making more money than you, why you think that is. And if you need to revisit your brand, do that. I have reinvented myself so many times. So reinvention is going to be a continuous place to be in for business. I'll give you an example. The last company that I had an opportunity to grow, when I started working with them, they had 25 employees. This was back in 2018. They were two merged companies with two separate brand identities. They came together, but the mindset wasn't one, it was still divided. The divide came from the internal view from the employees. So it doesn't mean enough just to have a brand. Everyone in the company needs to understand the brand equally or even the more than how you are able to explain it. You're only as good as the representation, either from yourself or from those that work for your company or support your company. So there had to be training and education within internally for those that work for the company to understand the core values of the business. What are the core values? Why does the company exist? What problems are we solving? What is our value add? And depending on the industry, sometimes I will even recommend that you go further, because your company is a million recruiting companies. But what I heard Angie say today, we do diversity. So she has a unique niche that you can come to us for diversity, and then you provide the inclusion. So when you begin to look at your businesses, what separates your company from your competitor? What is your unique differentiator? There could be 1,000,001 retail companies, but why do I want to buy from you? I'll give you another example, and this wasn't even in my bio. Years and years ago, I had an opportunity to work for a very small business that had 3 stores. It was a retail clothing store. Their locations were New York City, 5th Avenue, which is upscale, best shopping area if you know anything about New York. Los Angeles, California, Rodeo Drive, also top shopping areas. And then there was a location here. So from that company, there was a target market. Okay. So in your business and your brand, you also need to know in your market research, who is your target market? Their target market was women in business. So everything that they provided was to support women in business. So let's talk about that. I want to paint a picture for you. You have a company. What do? They're a retail store. They sell women clothes. But what women? Not all women. They need a unique differentiator. So they targeted women in business. How did they solve the problem for women in business that go to work every day? They created lines of suiting that could be worn. For example, one black suit would come with a jacket, a sheath dress, a sheath top, a skirt, pants, a cardigan set. So one suit could have 7 different looks available to it, one suit. So it was interchangeable. So they solved a wardrobe problem for working women. Their value add was other companies in the retail industry that were like them were not doing that. It was a one-shop stop. A woman could walk in there and get a full suiting for a new job. They could get the shoes, they could get the accessories, and they created a brand that was attractive to the woman. And then when you looked at their logo, the company's name was BCBG, and that may pop out to some of you. And it stood for Bon Chic, Bon Genre, which means good look, good style. So from that brand presence, they went from 3 stores and they spread internationally and nationally all across the United States until they also ended up with an online presence. Now, when you look at the company now, they have minimized their shopping to like retail stores, but it's a great example of how a company started and set a foundation and was able to expand simply by solving a problem. So if you have a company and you're thinking all the way back to the elevator pitch, what did we say? Who you are, what you do, what problem you solve. That company found a problem. And then before they went to their value add, they said, how do we differentiate ourselves now from other competitors? And they did that by creating a unique niche, Angie, like we're doing diversification. So I encourage each one of you to begin to think about what are your unique differentiators for your business, food and beverage. How do you set yourself apart? What are your competitors doing? What are the untapped markets? Are there areas in my business that I need to expand to? What is the cost of the expansion? If I can't get there now, how can I partner to get there? So I want to talk a little bit about, I want to stay on the marketing just a little bit more. Now, you all may know Seth Godin, but he has a quote. He was known as, and is still known as, one of the most successful marketing experts in the industry. And I want to read a quote to you that he wrote. He said, a brand is the set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, taken together, account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. I want to finish reading it, but I want to talk a little bit about it. If the consumer, whether it's a business, a buyer, a voter, or a donor, doesn't pay a premium, make a selection, or spread the word, then no brand value exists for that consumer. So one of the things that he said that we've already sort of talked about is the consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. That is your unique differentiator. Why would I buy from you versus another company? And if you do not have that differentiator, like I said, branding takes time. I recommend that you go back and you look at your company, look at the results of how your company is rendering the services, the outcomes. Hopefully you've set some goals for yourself, for your company. You have a strategy in place, 2, at least 3 years. And I even often recommend short-term strategies like month to month, day to day. One of the things that I recommend to new businesses is to start their week with their to-dos and check the boxes, because there's so many things that have to be accomplished. So as you look at the brand and you consider what Seth Godin says about having a consumer choose you, and you've given it some thought, then I want you to think about how the consumer feels about your brand. Because when he goes and he says that they spread the word about the brand, if no one is telling people about your brand, then there's something about your brand that's not giving them the feeling that they need to say, I want to buy from you. Brand means that you have an experience. You can take a good restaurant, for example. If one person goes, they're going to tell the next person. The next person is going to tell someone else. And before you know it, the restaurant is full. It's by word of mouth, and it's making sure that you look reputable when people research you. The first thing they're going to do when someone tells them about your business is they're going to go on the internet and they're going to Google you. And when they Google you, what does your brand presence look like? What is your brand identity? Your brand is, again, the most valuable asset of your company. So if you're going to spend money anywhere, do not cheat yourself on your website, on the creation of your logo, on the establishment of your colors, your fonts, and all of the assets related to your business. Now, in addition to business cards, people often will have what they call either a capability statement or a slick sheet created. I'm going to type my company's website here. The work in business that we do is I provide services to the federal government. The services that I provide are in the area of training, program and project management, acquisition support, and procurement services. When you go to my page and it talks about you, you're going to see there where it talks about capabilities. Capabilities are equal to core values. So when you're giving your elevator pitch and you're talking about your core values of your company, what you do, that is also considered capabilities. You can have a one-pager ready at all times that outlines the capabilities / core values of your business. So when you go to networking events, it's something in your brand presence, a part of your brand identity that you can have ready to hand out. In addition to your business card, or now they incorporate QRC codes. I use a digital card. My digital card takes the individuals to my information, to my website, so I don't have to carry a slick sheet. I can rely on my elevator pitch. I want to see if there's anything here that I want to touch on that I left out. When you're looking at your brand and you're talking about what you do, that is a brand promise. And when you make someone a promise, a consumer a promise, Jane, that when you take pictures of them, your pictures are going to be beautiful. That's what their expectations are going to be at the point of delivery. You've made them a promise. These are my core values. This is what I do. That is my brand promise. And it all connects with not only how you're going to deliver it, but then you can also look and move into from delivery to create your value proposition. Okay, you all, I think, talked about in your pitch the value add. So when you begin to consider your value proposition, I look at it as, Ogie, why you? Why your company? And I'm going to ask you that question. If you can come off mute, Ogie, why your company? Why would I want to work with your company?
Okay, so I'm in the business of equipping professionals to start out careers in business analysis, project management, and change management. Why would you want to work with me? So because I run not only a training organization, I also provide consulting services to small and medium-sized companies. I not only train you, I'm able to also get you on board my team after training you to equip you with practical hands-on experience that boosts your confidence, increases astronomically your chances of landing that dream job and increasing your income. So that's why you would work with me. That's my unique value proposition, which most people in the market do not provide.
Right. So in your value proposition, not only did you just tell me what you did, you provided me with the value add that makes you unique from your competitors. I want to hear from others. Esther, what would you consider your value proposition?
My value proposition would be, because I'm actually into human resource management. I do recruitment, I train, as well as I'm more into corporate culture. So my value proposition for companies or people I work with would be that I could raise maybe, let me see, a zero culture to a corporate culture that attracts and retains talent. So most times people skid off because of wrong culture and maybe wrong structures in the company. But I bring value in that area. Actually, I do. So,
okay. So one thing I would like for you to work on is I want you to write it out, and I want you to I want you to script it out, and I want you to practice it so that when you encounter a consumer, you're really succinct and quick in being able to explain your value proposition. Also, keep in mind that the value proposition is going to be a long-term strategy. Something going to be consistent and maintained within your company.
Okay, noted.
Okay, just that's going to be something that's not changeable. It's going to be, it ties back to your mission, your purpose, your core values. It's part of your whole brand identity.
Okay, that's true.
Okay, so
thank you so much.
Yes, and I want to take some time just to hear and get to know some more of you. Jane, I see you do photography. How long have you had your business?
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm actually shopping. I don't know if anybody can hear me.
We can hear you.
I just started. It's like barely a year. So it's pretty new.
Okay, so that's great. So that looks like you're starting from scratch. Okay, so even with a new company, starting from scratch, to me, that's the best opportunity when you're so new to really be able to review current brand and to look.
Mute yourself, Jane, and just listen, please.
So Jane, because your company is fairly new, it gives you a great opportunity to be able to revisit the brand that you've currently created, to determine if it's sick, if it's simple, iconic, and consistent. If it represents you as an individual, where you are your brand, and everything that you own, every social media site represents that brand consistency. You know, we do have separate websites and separate social media sites for our company. But when a person is looking for a service that any of you may provide, the first thing they're going to do is do research. And outside of your logo, your system identity for your brand, the totality of your brand is going to be viewed as a whole. How do they feel when they Google you, Angie, and they look you up? How do they feel, Jane, when they Google you and they look you up? How do they feel when they Google you and they look you up? They're going to make a simple, quick decision as to whether or not they want to work with you, just as parts of what your brand looks like. And it's unfortunate, but that's how decisions are made. When we go as women and we go out to buy a pair of shoes, we're looking at the shoe, we're examining the quality of the shoe. And oftentimes we may even know about the shoe through marketing and advertisement. So it's how it initially make us feel. The presence of it draws us there. Then we go, we buy it. But what kind of experience? If you go into the store and you don't have a good experience, what's going to happen? You're not going to want to buy from them. All of that is inclusive of your brand and what you have created as your brand identity. And I don't want to do all the talking. I want to pass it back and see if we can do a little question Q&A at this time and be more engaging. And as you ask me questions, specifically challenges I want to say that you're having or help that you need with your own company, I can try to provide some solutions if that's okay, if it's okay if we go in that direction.
Yeah, that's perfectly okay.
Okay, I'm a problem solver and a strategist. So if you are having some challenges, maybe we can go one by one. And I could just call on you. Maybe that's the easiest way to do it. So Angie, since I've been calling on you all night, I'm going to ask you first, what are some of the challenges, or what is the need that you think I may be able to answer a question or what have you?
Okay. Well, thank you. All the information that you've given us, it's amazing. It kind of reaffirms what I had in mind and even pushed me to kind of do different things and to recreate or redo some others. So thank you very much. And well, Scouter is my second business. My second business. The first one is HR opportunity. So that's what I got confused. I mean, basically my clients or my public, my target are HR professionals and businesses, right? That's basically my target. At least I have this thing in common between these two. But I don't know. That's why, as you see in my backing, you can see both of my logos, because it's like I want people to know that I'm behind those two brands, but I don't know. Now I'm doubting myself if I should probably do HR opportunity, recruitment company, or just, I mean, it's like, I don't know if I had to align everything, but I wanted to give a different vibe and a different life to recruitment. That's why I called it Scouter. So my big issue is like, how do I promote myself with these two? And I don't want to get people confused. So are you from HR opportunity or do you do Scouter? I mean, like, what's your business? So that's the thing that it gets me like overthinking, actually. It's been a while.
So from what I understand from what you just said, you are companies, your target are HR individuals because they are looking to hire resources and the companies that they work for. So you are a recruiter, correct? Or scouter, and you are providing bodies. Is that correct? See, I don't know the distinction between your two companies. I just got confused.
Okay, I'm so sorry. HR Opportunity, it's the first preparation course certification, preparation course provider for HRCI, which is Human Resource Certification Institute. So I do it in Spanish for LATAM.
Okay, so you provide.
Yeah, so I work with different HR professionals and I train them and they get their certification through HRCI. But at the same time, these people became my clients because some of them, maybe the closest ones to me, they bought recruitment services for the companies they work for. So, but that's the point. Like, I don't want to take advantage of, so I don't want them to feel like I'm selling everything, but thank God that they just ask naturally. It's not like I'm doing it.
What you did is you filled a gap and they saw opportunity, right? They saw opportunity after taking your training in the services that you were capable of providing, and they had a need. So you met their need from them seeing opportunity. So what I would recommend for you is you could do a couple things. You could really look at having one company providing two separate pillars, because they're not distinct services. Like, they're not too far apart. It's not like you're selling food and you're doing HR. They're close enough together that you can rebrand the whole name and merge the two. And I gave you all an example of a company that were two merged companies, but the employees needed to be retrained on what that looked like, right? So these two merged companies came together with two different names, but similar work, kind of like yours. So instead of looking, Angie, at these companies as separate entities, they're really still one body. They're still helping the same source of people, just providing a different type of service. So I probably would rebrand it with a name that was inclusive of all of it, to include training and to include the recruitment services and scouting that you provide. I would do that under one company. I would rename it, rebrand it from bottom up. And it's okay. It's not that you shut your companies down in the process that are separate. They can still remain two separate entities, but you go behind the scenes and you begin to relook at what the brand looks like. And then you do a big old launch and you call all your clients, everyone that's on your buyer list, anyone that's taking your training, anyone that you've ever scouted for, you call them all up and you have some type of business launch with your rebrand. The company that I'm referring to had to change the name in totality. They went from one name to a whole nother name, and we did the same thing. We had a rebranding launch event so that everybody that we sold to, everyone that knew us would know that we were making a change, but it gave us an opportunity to hit the platform, give our elevator pitch, and even go into more details about every area where we work. Because you do this training, you may have a different type of training to provide. Now that we have basically gone virtual, one of the things could be, my training used to be face-to-face. Now I have on-demand trainings. So you start to look at how to recreate what you've already done in that space to make it better, to more differentiate yourself. But I would highly recommend, because they're so close together, working behind the scenes. And it may take you some time. It could take you 6 months. Branding takes time. Put some real thought into it. Do the market research. When you think of the name, also consider the logo. When I see your logo, do I know what you do immediately from your logo? Like the Nike switch that we talked about. Like the Apple sign. Do I know what you provide from your logo? And how does it all make a person feel? We're in a market where a lot of people are looking for jobs. And here in the United States, one of the presidential initiatives is diversity and inclusion. So if you have an employer and I go to their website and I look at their leadership and it's not diverse, guess what? There's a company out there that's looking in her market research that's like, aha, I found a company that needs my support. And they now become one of your target companies. So it's going to take some work, but I definitely recommend that you take some time and bridge the gap and bring them together. Does that help any, or did I confuse you more?
I guess it's hard for me to let go of my owl. If you've seen my owl, right? It's I don't know the name. I like it. I don't know. It's maybe something sentimental. I really don't know. I probably wanted to create something like.
But you don't have to let it go. Maybe that can be bridged together. You just have to put some thought into it. Think about how you can keep what's working and bridge together the other piece of it so that you can make it collective. And you may have to reach out to a graphic artist. And I think there's a digital graphic designer that's here in the meeting today. You know, brainstorm. You may not have to just get rid of the owl. Maybe you can do some type of play with it. But I want to give other people a chance, but really take some time, because you are running two separate companies. It's not a problem, but you just said to me, sometimes I think people get confused about what I do. That's going to limit the people that buy from you, because they're confused, and you want to eliminate the confusion. To do that, please try to find a way to incorporate it all together. So Olga, I think you have a question.
Yeah. Thank you, Tonya, for all the information you've shared so far. Very valuable, I must say. My question is similar to Angie's question. Is about how do you feel about personal brand? That's the brand or the promotion of the individual over the business. Okay, now let me put it this way. The promotion of the person behind the business over the product, like building a personal website rather than a product or service website, kind of. Like, especially for someone that has multiple expressions. You do multiple things that might not be related, right? And like Angie said, you don't want to create confusion out there. But these are what you really do. And you don't want to lay emphasis on one, or you find it hard to lay emphasis on just one product, because you actually do provide other services or products.
Okay, so that's a good question. And what I did is I dropped another website in the chat that I also have. So when you have multiple impressions, one of the things I also do is I coach women in business. So I have a business that provides program project management, training, acquisition, procurement support services. But me as a personal brand, I also coach women in business. So I make sure that when you go from one website to the next, you still see some brand consistency. So although I have a separate website, I am still a CEO responsible for my own company who is experienced in this industry. And I've decided to give back. Now, my name for that second impression is not far off from my brand. My company is ACM-Advisors with a DBA, ACMA. So this impression impression simply is ACMA Biz. You see my face, you see, hey, I'm Tanya. I'm here to help you as a woman to grow in business. So you should have a personal brand consistency.
Sorry to cut in, Tanya. I think Auge maybe lost connection.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe you hold off that thought a little bit. I know everybody is benefiting from it, but I don't want her to come back. And yeah, she's coming back into the room now. And then you have to go over it again.
Okay, thank you for saving me on that one.
Okay, are you back? Okay, are you back?
I don't see her if she's back.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. So one of the answers that I provided to your question is I dropped another website below. That is my website. And you're going to see that pretty much the impressions of who I am still have a level of consistency across the company. For example, when I launched this website to support women as a business coach, I'm still the same person I am on my company's website. I'm still a CEO. And one of the things I did for brand consistency is I changed my pictures on my personal LinkedIn to be consistent with the impression for my women coaching business and for my other social platforms. So what you see is what you get. You know, you're not, oh, is that the same person? You're not really questioning who I am and what I offer. I run a company, and as a CEO, I give back by coaching women. So when you look at me on any of my brands, I'm also a minister. And when you look at my Instagram page, you still see the same brand consistency. So I keep pretty much all of my impressions the same. Hopefully that helps a little bit.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was okay. Maybe I was wondering, as a small business, do you really have the revenue to maintain multiple websites? What's the best to start out with? But I completely get your explanation, and it makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And as a small business, to maintain the websites, I'm thinking you're probably going to do them on your own. And most social platforms are free. And I see you shaking your head like, absolutely not. Well, I could tell you a workaround that I've done that has worked for me is I've gotten interns, students that are in their last year at university that need to have experience on their resume. And it's an unpaid internship, but I've given them full access to my social media and say, go for it. Let's meet weekly. I'll tell you what I need. And guess what? I didn't have to pay for that. So there was a strategy around that. I got services. They received experience on their resume that they actually have taken and gotten employment from after graduation. So that's one way to gain, I want to call it free labor because it's really an exchange.
Can I add, I don't know if this makes sense. Tanya, you would correct me if I'm wrong. So to what Oge was asking, and I think pretty much all of us are like that. We wear like different, caps. So we have different feathers on a cap. And I had that issue at one point. I was trying to, okay, how do I do this? And I have some things that I do personally that are different from what I do as a business. And I was looking for a way to incorporate everything. And yeah, it was that thought recently. I had a rebrand of my organization so that I could incorporate a lot of things under the same name, and as I was trying to expand as well. But what I did to the end of trying to create a personal brand as well, because there are some things that I do right now individually that has my name. Like I have a business that runs by my name, my first and last name, that is not registered under a artificial name. Is my legal name. And what I did was, under my website, create a subdomain so that I do not have to have a full website. So I have like double subdomain under my website. So what it does is there's a link to the main website, which is the organizational website. So when you click on it, it takes you direct to my subdomain, which is still hosted under the main website. And you can see my private, my personal brand and whatever I do with the name Ifoma Isongune, right? And that's what I've done recently. I don't know if that helps. Okay, like having a subdomain to your regular websites, and it's just a link, but the caveat there is that the subdomain will still have to carry the name of the main website. So it's either slash the new, like in my case is the Star Women's Net, or if I might someone is slash the Star Women's Net, however, I forgot how it is, but something like that. Yeah. So, and just that is to cut costs at this time so that, you know, eventually I can do whatever I want with it. But as it was starting, that was how I build it up. I don't know if that was a smart strategy, but
yeah, but that's excellent. And in order for you to have to be able to do that, there was still some consistency in what you were doing, so that when the people select the subdomain, they weren't like, oh, well, what is this? There's not a huge shocker there or a divide. So however you do it, whether you have a subdomain or links, because I do have some of that on my page, it takes you to like my philanthropy page, which is also takes you to my personal page. There's still some brand consistency there where you're not really taken back to the point of confusion, where you don't know what's happening and people are thinking they're getting like a totally different person from what your brand represents. And I know we're coming up at top of the hour. Are there any questions that I can answer for anyone before our time runs out? And I also want to say, if you follow me on LinkedIn, please ask any questions. I live for this. I live to help other women grow and develop. So whatever, if you have additional questions that we didn't talk about today, message me. I'll do my best to answer it and provide whatever support I can provide to you.
Almost rounding up. Any other person has any question? Really quickly. Talkboy, are you still there? I think we lost you for a minute there. I don't know if she's reconnected. Yes, Blessing, please do. Yeah, do well to connect. Tanya is Tanya Alston on LinkedIn, and she is easily accessible. And yeah, do the connection and follow the Star Women's Network Inc. on LinkedIn as well. If you are not following us already. Okay, so yeah, she shared the link. I'm here, but my background is noise. Oh, okay, that's talk. Do you have any question? That's why I asked. You want to throw it really quickly in the chat? We have a minute to go. I know she had said earlier, like I told you, that she would be in a noisy environment and wouldn't be able to. So, Talkback, do you have any question? And Talkback is in the food industry. Okay, she said she's good. So yeah, any other question? You are very welcome. Any other questions from anybody? Alrighty, Tanya, this has been really amazing. I don't know if time flies really quickly when you are having a good time. This has been very tremendous. It's coming up in the chat. Thanks a million, Tanya. Oh my goodness. Thank you. I'll connect on LinkedIn. Thank you, Tanya. It's very insightful. Amazing, amazing. I have gained so much, and I know that everybody on this call has also gained so much. Thank you for your time this evening, Tanya. We really, really appreciate. This is one evening well spent. Okay, you raised your hand. Is it the old one, or did you just raise your hand again?
Yeah, I just did.
Oh, okay, please go ahead. Yeah, thank you from Angie, and thank you from Rita. And please do connect everybody, US, Peru, Nigeria, Canada, like we're all from all over the place. Do connect. And okay, please, yeah, take it. We're 1 minute.
Okay, so I think I heard you say a graphic artist is here. Can he put in his contact. And if anyone here also has someone that is very good, they can recommend, not too pricey, it will be good to share too. Thank you. And thank you very much, Tonya. Thanks so much for this evening.
Well,
Thank you, Ify.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
You're very
It's a
welcome.
pleasure for me to be here and just be able to hear and talk to each one of you, and to be with such a diverse international audience. I am like elated, actually. So I appreciate the opportunity. It was a pleasure. I hope the best for all of your businesses. And I just want to add, don't forget to give yourself some grace. Being in business is not always easy, and you're going to have to sometimes take a step back, reinvent yourself, and it's okay. Give yourself some grace. Even if it seems like your company isn't doing what it was supposed to do, I always say every setback is a setup for your success. Remember that, and you'll go a long way. So
Thank you so much. Thank
everyone.
you.
Wow,
Bye-bye.
I like that.
Thank you.
Every
Thank
setback.
you. It was a pleasure, Tonya. Thank you, Fiona.
Yeah. Thank you. You're very welcome. Every setback is a setup for success. You're going to see that on my LinkedIn page soon.
Absolutely. I mean, and you're going to find in business, you're going to have a lot of setbacks, but when you come out of it, you always seem to advance further. So just keep that in mind. And thank you all. I'm looking forward to connecting. Have a good night.
Thank you, Tonya. Good night, everyone. Sign up for next month.
Thank you.